What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I know it's been almost 2 weeks now, or maybe it has been 2 weeks since I posted a video. These airplanes are just wearing me down a little bit. I don't usually have this much trouble building an airplane, but these are notoriously not very well engineered kits, and they are old. So I've been struggling with motivation this last week and a half or so. This week I barely spent any time at all up here in my shop after work. I usually spend anywhere from 2 to 3 hours in the evenings after work, but it's been difficult this past, like I said, week and a half, almost 2 weeks. But I am slowly getting ahead, and this is part of the reason why I don't normally build more than one thing at a time. Even though these are both, for all intents and purposes, the identical airplane, it's two of them. And if you have issues with one, you have issues with the other. So you've got double the issues. Yeah. That's why I normally just build one thing at a time from beginning to end before I start anything else. A lesson learned maybe here. Anyway, this is the YB-49. This is the state that it's in right now. You see I have shot some of the filler primer on this. It is already sanded. I put in the canopies and windows today. All right. This one, the landing gear is up, so the gear bay doors are in place. As well as the nose gear door, which is on this side actually. But it's fared in fairly smooth. And one thing I'll point out on real airplanes, landing gear doors like this, unless you're talking about the newer generation of stealth aircraft, and I can specifically reference the B-2 because I used to work on it. Unless you're talking about these newer generation of stealth aircraft, a lot of these gear doors don't sit flush like you would think they do. A lot of times there's just a little bit of a step in them on the real aircraft. So don't fret if yours aren't absolutely flush on whatever aircraft you're building. Like I said, with those exceptions, but any of the older generation of aircraft, propeller aircraft with retractable gear, jet aircraft, those doors, nose gears, main gears, they rarely ever were completely flush. It's just a nature of the way they're made. So don't fret if you see things like that. So that's that one. And the YB-35, or the XB-35 rather, in this case, is further along. And we'll show you that next. I'm trying to fill in all these craterous gaps and seams. The putty didn't cover everything as well as I'd liked. I've shot some of the Mr. Surfacer black primer over the top of things. I did sand it prior to doing that, but there's still quite a bit of work to do. There's a lot of divots in it, a lot of steps where it's not flush or even like it should be, both top and bottom side, especially these leading edges where the frontal portion of, well, I mean, this is the engine bays under here, so I'm not real sure what exactly this shape would have been. So you got your inlet here, and then underneath some kind of an engine shape or something. I don't know. Anyway, where that attaches, where the leading edge attaches, there's a lot of step in that. So in order to combat that, I'm now going to use a filler primer. And it's Rust-Oleum. I have not yet really used this on a plastic model. I've used it on some other things, some model rockets, in fact. to fill the spiral winding of the paper tubes, and it works great for that. So it should work for this. And the advantage is that because it's a filler primer, it'll help fill in these sinking areas. And then when I sand it, I can level everything and make it flush and smooth. Of course, I will have to go in and rescribe a lot of panel lines. Most of them are still visible now, but they won't be by the time I'm done, I'm pretty sure. But the advantage is I have another airplane that looks just like this one with the same panel lines. So that'll work. This is the tedious task of trying to mask all of these windows and canopies. And actually what I'm going to leave exposed is where any support metal would be, and then cover any window area, if that makes any sense. But on these bubble canopies, the only visible support is this one. It's about 2/3 of the way back, but there's nothing around the bottom edge. But in reference photos, there is a lip there. So I've got to cut very thin pieces of the masking tape and work my way around. But so I'll probably lay one layer of masking tape and then another one above it, and then take the lower one off so that I get that exposed bottom edge, so I can get my primer and paint in there like it should be. So that's what I'm working on here. And these Infinity cutting mats, these things are just a lifesaver, really, because you can cut specific widths down to very small. Like down here it's 1 millimeter, and all the way up here it's 0.4 millimeters. And I have not actually used anything that narrow. I have worked up in this area where it's 0.7, 0.6, 0.8, and they work really, really good. So if you've got the opportunity to buy some, I would definitely give these a thumbs up for your workbench. But it is tedious, very, very tedious. And then I have to decide how long I need to make these to make them work. We'll go over there. All right, so it's masked where I want it, and now I'm using this liquid mask to cover the glass areas that we want to remain unpainted. And this is probably the quickest way to do that, is with a masking fluid like this. It's just a matter of moving it in where you want it, making sure it's on there thick enough, and then let that dry, and then you'll be ready for paint. Okay, once that masking fluid dries, we'll be ready to spray primer and then paint. It's a slow process on this thing. Man, this has really been more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. All right, so here the XB35 is in black primer from Alclad, and here I'm spraying on their gloss black base coat in preparation for doing the aluminum Alclads. About a year ago, I had bought one of those Neo Echo airbrushes because I wanted something with a wider spray pattern than my Omni 4000, which I'm using here in this video. But I have not had any luck with that thing. I've broken it down a couple times, made sure it was very clean on the inside, put it back together. I actually started to spray this with it, but it almost doesn't really want to spray at all. And it's got a MAC valve, and I've got the MAC valve completely open, so it's getting plenty of air. Now, you can see the Omni 4000 that I use does not have a MAC valve. And it sprays fine. I mean, I'm actually getting decent coverage on this. But the Neo Echo, I really wanted something that I could get a much wider spray pattern with, specifically for doing big areas like this. You know, it takes a while. Now, this video is actually sped up 2 times, so it takes a good amount of time to get this much of the wing covered. So anyway, that's where this one's at this point. So that's going to wrap it up this week. I'm really wanting to get these things to completion. I did put in an order with STS decals to have the decals remade for both of these, because the originals are a little old and I really didn't think they were going to hold up to trying to get them wet and transfer them. So they're working on those for me. And I really need to get these done so I can get back on my USACC build. I haven't touched that thing. I started to cut out doors and trunk lids, so they're mostly cut through, but that was where I last did anything to it. So I've got quite a bit of work to do on that one, and I really want to get back on. So expect that here in the not too distant future. We're going to get back on that, okay? Also, I have shop cards made. So if you're interested in receiving a shop card, hit me up and I'll send one to you. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Give thanks for all that you're blessed with. And peace and love, everyone.